Hello class, my name is Leiato. Do you remember how many movies you watched last year? Today I'm going to inform you on the positive effects of movies. I'm going to further explain how movies increase listening and comprehension, help learn about different cultures, and teach important life lessons. But firstly, I'd like to go over how movies increase listening and comprehension. As an avid moviegoer, I can proudly vocalize that movies have brought many positive aspects to my life. From the moment the movie starts, I get distracted from the stresses of a college student to a world that touches my emotions and immerses me in another world. When I watch a movie that tackles historical events, I find myself more understanding of harder topics. Upon finishing an iconic film, I find myself referencing it on a day-to-day basis with friends who watched with me. Jelisaveta Sanfranj wrote an article titled Advancing Listening Comprehension Through Movies, which emphasized research statistics on the effects of movies on the minds of students in regard to listening and comprehension. She points out how the way people watch movies have become more versatile over time, and also shows how subtitles increase people's language abilities. Sanfranj begins her research by conducting a survey that has 25 questions and a qualitative data survey that is done through oral interviews. 38 English learning students gave their experiences on films. When taking the survey, they were faced with questions about their opinions, suggestions, and limitations when it came to movies. As far as the results go, 97% of students said that when watching movies with an English soundtrack, they felt like their listening abilities improved. 82% of students noticed that they're learning more slang and vocabulary through movies. 75% felt that they interacted better with foreigners. After looking at this evidence, Sanfranj came to the conclusion that movies benefited their listening and comprehension. Next off, I'd like to go over how movies can help learn about different cultures. An English teacher in Japan named Eric Bray wrote an article entitled Using Movies in Foreign Language Classroom, A New Approach, which highlights his experience as a teacher that shows the overall benefits of movies in foreign language classrooms. Bray goes over how using movies in foreign language classrooms have an overall positive light to educators and researchers. This being because of authentic linguistics and cultural contexts that films bring. Bray communicates how textbooks can only go so far when it comes to cultural understanding, but to further one's experience in culture, movies help understand the values people have in another country. Bray concludes by saying how watching movies about the culture in question is a good way to stimulate one's interest in the country and people. Sasiwamal Pramuthan also writes an article entitled Learners' Perceptions of Culture Through Movies, which prioritizes the use of movies when it comes to understanding culture. Pramuthan introduces his article by saying that language and culture are inseparable in terms of trying to understand them on their own, and states how using movies as a gateway of information for culture and language is ideal. When students are trying to learn about the Thai culture, they watched Overture by Isantasorn Wichalek and Citizen Dog by Wisilit Sasantheng, just to name a few. Overall, students learned how simple the Thai lived in rural areas through watching these movies. Pramuthan points out how culture is based on three interrelated dimensions: products, practices, and perspectives. He demonstrates how important economics, clothing, music, and politics are to understanding foreign countries as well, and proves that movies help tackle these topics on a diverse level. Lastly, I'd like to go over how movies teach difficult life lessons. ABC Australia Grace Hennings Edquist writes an article titled 5 Very Real Benefits of Watching Movies, which goes over how films help us learn, socialize, and teach important life lessons. Grace introduces us to Dr. Lynch, who completed her PhD thesis on cinema therapy, which basically emphasizes the use of cinema in therapy. For example, someone who's having a problem with sadness might see a funny, lighthearted movie to bring up their mood. Dr. Lynch later comes to the conclusion how films can be a safer place for people because of how characters in a film might be struggling through relatable problems but end up overcoming them in a healthy way and learning more about themselves. Symbols and metaphors in films can also be helpful to those and help them apply the lessons in their day-to-day lives. For example, the first Lord of the Rings movie was used for recovering addicts as a way of understanding what their struggles truly is. Frodo's mission is to destroy the ring, but never does and never gets over it. Or how in Chasing Mavericks, Jay's father was never there but Frosty, his surfing mentor, played that father figure for Jay. This helps teach people that family can come in many forms. Dr. Lynch was trying to portray how movies can help people learn lessons in a different light. To conclude, I do think that movies have great benefits, extending from culture to language comprehension. Movies are more than just social outings, but forms of art that allow us to immerse ourselves in worlds without stress. Through these immersions, we can learn a lot about ourselves and the world around us. Thank you for your time.